Well, hunters and fishermen know about ticks and the importance of removing any latched ticks as quickly as possible. Hunting and fishing pro legend Babe Winkleman is here to talk about how his website is keeping people informed about the dangers of Lyme disease. Welcome to the show, sir. It's great to have you here.
Well, thank you.
So what shocked me, because I had a relative that had Lyme disease, and it was treacherous. And so you said you've had it 3 times. How did you get rid of it?
Well, first off, let me address one thing that you just said, hunters and fishermen. Yes, that's what we do. We produce television to teach people how to hunt and fish and inspire them to do so with their family, because there's nothing better than what God gave us. You know, it's just an amazing thing. And sometimes other things come along with it. I've had Lyme disease 3 times in my life. But let me back up. In 1978, I introduced Deep Woods Off insect repellent to the world, and that's what kicked my career off, and we started on television in 1980. I brought hunting back in the late 80s, and about 89 or 90, I did a 4-year campaign for S.C. Johnson talking about Lyme disease. I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it. I grew up on a dairy farm where we had grain crops and a creek and big woods and et cetera. But there were no problems with ticks. I grew up in the 50s and in the 60s, and over 80% of the people lived in the country, not in the cities. And they lived off the land, and there just wasn't any ticks. But we burnt our farms. Or all of the ranches were burnt about every 2 years because it brought natural fertilizers back into the ground and so forth. What we didn't know is we were keeping the tick population in check by burning. And the urban sprawl started in the 60s, and the burning started to go down and down and down. Now hardly anybody burns anything. And everybody's wondering, where did all these ticks come from? Well, in 1975, they discovered the first case of Lyme. In 1982, Dr. Berdafi isolated it and realized it was coming from a tick. It was vector born, and that's where it started from. But the population has been growing and growing and
One
growing.
of the big challenges I hear from my family's experience is that it's often not diagnosed or misdiagnosed. Why?
Some folks call it the great imitator because it imitates so many different kinds of diseases. However, the biggest reason is because the bulk of the people in the medical profession have never been trained on it. It didn't exist. I mean, it was only into the 80s where we started understanding a little tiny bit about Lyme disease. We didn't realize that there's different stages of it. You asked, how did I get rid of it? Well, the whole key here is education, and which is why I'm here today. We have built a website for America to educate themselves. It's free for them. They can learn how to be tick-free when they're out there, and educate their families, and educate themselves to be tick-free, and what are all the symptoms of the diseases? What are all the diseases? I mean, we've said Lyme. Have you ever heard of Powassan, or babesiosis, or anaplasmosis, or Rocky Mountain spotted fever? Every one of them are lethal. They're deadly. They'll kill you. This is not just an insect bite, and they're not insects, by the way. Ticks are related to the spider family. But if you know the symptoms, and there are a lot of them, right on the website, it'll take you right in, and the first thing it teaches you about starts with Lyme disease. Here's what causes it. Here's all of the symptoms. Here's all of the complications of the symptoms. So you can, and then there's another section you can click on right there and go deep into research if you choose to. But we need to make them aware of it, and they need to know, what can I do?
Right.
If they know the symptoms, they can go in, and they talk about a rash. CDC says that 80% of the people, the tick experts say it's maybe 40 or 50% of the people. I had it, didn't have it one time. My daughter Jasmine's had it twice, didn't have it no rash one time.
Wow.
So that's not an answer. There's a whole lot of other symptoms.
Hold that thought. When we come back, much more from Babe Winkleman right after this.